Welcome back to the channel. Day one is in the books, and I actually got in 5 films today. Uh, I don't expect to do that every day. What typically happens is by the middle of the month, I start to really slow down. And on Saturdays, when there's football, it'll be hard to get more than 3. But so I got to take these days when I can get them to get to 100. So, yeah, 5 films. The subset film, which was kind of the required watch for the day, was Night of the Living Dead in honor of Tony Todd having passed away. This is a 1990 film directed by Tom Savini, and I really like this film. I admire. I mean, imagine the pressure that Tom Savini was under to not screw up a classic film that he's going to reboot. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, psychological and probably self-inflicted pressure in terms of trying to um, do justice to rebooting a classic film. And I think he did a great job. I really do. The performances were outstanding. Patricia Tallman as Barbara was excellent, and I really liked the slant that they gave. Where in this film, she was the opposite of the first Barbara, and that she was the strong one. And I really liked that approach. And Tony Todd, I thought was very good. I thought he did an outstanding job. Uh, I gave the film overall a 7 out of 10. The one negative about Night of the Living Dead 1990 is it's too bright. It really, I thought, needed to be darker. It didn't have the mood or the atmosphere of the first film. But having said that, there's not many films that do have the mood or atmosphere of the first film. But I do think he could have tried to do better as far as that. It was just the film was lit too bright for me. Overall, I liked it. I liked how he wrapped up the ending. I thought it was great. So overall, 7 out of 10 on that one. Next up, I watched another Tony Todd film, which is his final film, and that is Final Destination Bloodlines. Uh, this is 2025 film. Basically, the short version of the story is the descendants of a young woman who was pregnant and getting married. The woman had a premonition that basically something bad was going to happen at this event she was at, and that of course saved her at the beginning of the film. But death was not going to be denied, and death starts targeting the descendants one by one. That's the film. It kind of plays like all the other Final Destination films, although this one I thought I didn't like it. It was just not for me. I thought that the it's not a bad film. It's actually well made, and I thought the acting was solid as well. My problem with the film is it was just, to me, it was a comedy. It was so over the top. And again, with Final Destination, the death set pieces are going to be over the top in general. But I think there's over the top, and then I think there's just comedic, ludicrous comedic. It was so ludicrous to me, anyway, that the only way to interpret it is just it's a comedy. And for me, I mean, I've spent most of the movie laughing. It wasn't there was no suspense for me. It was all ridiculous set pieces. And I'll give you one example. I'm not going to go through them all. A guy with I do like this is to me this is comedy or social commentary and that type of thing, or ring piercings. The film definitely poked a lot of fun at them. In one scene, the guy with the nose ring, there's a chain that gets wrapped around a fan, and of course the chain hooks up hooks up to his nose ring, and he's flailing around, you know. by his nose ring. It's hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing at it. So it to me it went beyond tongue in cheek to the point of being maybe a parody of the Final Destination series, but I definitely interpret it as a comedy. Uh, Any rate, it just I don't know I don't know that that these people knew what they wanted to do here. Uh, Zach Lipovsky is a Canadian director. He did Leprechaun Origins. That should tell you something. And then Adam Stein. Looks like this was. Yeah, I mean these guys. I don't know what their intent was here, but what I got was it was a comedy. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. I think technically it was good. Um, I think the acting was solid. Got no complaints there. I just had a problem with basically the script. If you want to get right down to it, looking at Letterboxd, I am clearly in the minority in this on this one because most of the people that I follow or are friends are giving this like 4 out of 5, and I mean, like this is some kind of masterpiece. Uh, I don't see it. I don't see 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. I don't. That's great, but I don't see it. I think if you went through and compared uh, some of the better Final Destination films early in the series and the death set pieces to this series of death set pieces, uh, while in general most of the Final Destination set pieces are ludicrous, they're not funny. They're not intended to be funny. And yeah, I think there was definitely suspense in the earlier films that was completely lacking from this. And this just seemed like this was kind of a social commentary, poking fun not only at Final Destination the series as a parody, but also at some of the millennial type stuff that's going on with. Like I say, these guys definitely went after the people that wear nose rings. It was hilarious. So that is my take on Final Destination Bloodlines. Um, Next up is a classic, Suspiria, 1977. Who hasn't seen Suspiria, and what more can be said about this horror masterpiece? Dario Argento pretty much put him on the map, although his giallos before that certainly probably, or at least in Europe, put him on the map. But I mean, this is the film. This is top 10 of all time horror films. The lighting, the music, the murder set pieces are all outstanding. The one thing that I thought about to kind of contribute as far as dialogue about this film that maybe I haven't heard others talk about as much or at all is how much music in a film, the musical score in a film, raises the overall ranking of a film. For example, take Halloween, the original Halloween. People talked about how that film, without the musical score, when it's been watched, is it's okay. It was okay, but the musical score transcends this film to the Hall of Fame category, and I think that's the case with Suspiria. I think Suspiria is a good film, 6, 7 out of 10. But the musical score takes it to Hall of Fame status. And there's really, how many films can you think of, horror films anyway, that you can say that? I can make the comparison to The Exorcist, but I don't think that the Exorcist, while the Exorcist musical score is fantastic, I think if you had a different score or a lesser score, the film would still be a masterpiece. Uh, I don't think Suspiria or Halloween without the musical score is a masterpiece. The only other one that I thought of, and I'd be interested in hearing more thoughts about this in the comments section. The only other one that I thought of was Cannibal Holocaust. And that's probably the best example because Cannibal Holocaust really probably is. It's a great idea. It kind of to me kickstarted found footage, but it's probably a 5, maybe a 6 out of 10 film. But the musical score instantly gravitates it to the 10 out of 10 category as well, and that's probably the biggest gap. I don't think you can say the same Suspiria or Halloween. I think those are still 7 out of 10s without the musical score, probably. So yeah, Suspiria was a great watch. One small little, and I've seen it when you've seen a film so many times, you start. At least I do. Uh, Almost kind of like surgically diagnosing some of this stuff, but the key scene towards the end, and this is a spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, you might want to pause or fast forward. Um, the key scene when the girl goes and sees the Jessica Harper, when she goes to see, when she finds the witch's den area in the dance studio, and she finds the dead body of the girl. Uh, that to me, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that impact wise, showing the dead girl in advance of the girl coming to life worked as well as it would had they not shown the dead girl to begin with. I think it would have been much better for the dead girl just to come flying out of the room into the room without having first kind of previewed the dead body. But really kind of a nitpicky uh, thought. It was just a thought that came into my head watching that scene. Okay, got two more here. We finally got our turd of the challenge. Don't Let the Devil In, 2017. I watched this on Tubi, and I recommend that you don't watch it. This is a really amateurish film that had inspired. It had, to me, it had inspiration from, say, Rosemary's Baby or satanic cult films, which where satanic, the whole town is part of satanic cult type thing, the Devil's Reign type scenario. Uh, this young New York couple, real estate developer, moved to a small town, and then they're terrorized by the inhabitants, who are all kind of part of this cult. It's an all amateur cast, and you can clearly see it's an all amateur cast. But they did their best. The acting was not good, but it was, I guess, serviceable. Most of the acting was flatly done, stilted, stiff. The dialogue was whoever wrote this thing. The dialogue was cringy, and the plotting was slow. There was no real payoff here. I still give it a 4 out of 10. I gave it a 4 out of 10 for the effort, but yeah, it wasn't good. The guy that directed it was a guy named Courtney Fathom Sell. Courtney Fathom Sell. I don't know. He looks like a young kid that's trying to do independent movies. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that based on at least this one movie that Courtney has a real promising future in the movie industry. But I appreciate the effort, so I'll just move on from there. Uh, the last film I watched was Hospital Massacre, 1981. I went back to Letterbox. I watched this damn thing 4 times. I don't know why I keep watching this movie, but I've seen it 4 times. I've probably seen it more times. I just haven't. I've logged it 4 times. And the first time I logged it, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. This is a Valentine's Day slasher, 1981. Barbie Benton, who was a Playboy model, plays this lady that's going in for a checkup at the hospital. It's not even really a checkup. She's going in to get her results of her checkup. Now, I'm in the healthcare industry, so I'm kind of being picky here as well. But the people that made this film, the director was Bose Davidson, who's done Last American Virgin. He's done a bunch of, really, this is his only horror film. Yeah, he's done a bunch of kind of comedies, and Last American Virgin is probably his best, most widely recognized film. Not particularly. He's an Israeli director. This is a Golden Globus film, although I don't remember if it said it was a. I don't think it's a Cannon film. It's a well, it does say Cannon Group. Okay, so you're in for a cheese fest with Cannon. Anything Cannon's going to have cheese fest written all over it, but they probably should have done a little bit more research on how hospitals work. I mean, my problem with this film was, besides the fact that I've watched it too many times now, I started analyzing it. And that was a mistake, because when you analyze it, it doesn't hold up at all. This film, and I try not to do that. Slasher films are supposed to be just fun, turn your mind off. And I tried to, but some of this stuff was so obvious. The plot holes, there's more plot holes in this than the New Orleans Saints defense. Every character besides Barbie Benton was used or had these red herring moments. Red herrings are great, but if every other character is a red herring, it defeats the purpose. You're supposed to pick one or two to throw you off who the killer is. But if everybody's a red herring, what's the point of having a red herring? Everybody in the film acted suspicious and did suspicious things, which, at that point it becomes almost a parody of a slasher film. It's not, there's not like there's one or two red herrings. You're trying to figure out which one's the killer. The other thing about the red herrings is you already knew basically that none of them could be the killer, just because the killer was walking around the hospital in a surgical outfit. So that destroyed that device's effectiveness. Plot holes, I guess the one big plot hole, there's so many. So Barbie Benton is going to the hospital to get her results of her checkup. Well, we all know that basically you don't go to the hospital for a checkup. I mean, most of them are going to go to their doctor in the clinic setting for that. They're not going to go into the hospital on an acute floor to get the results of a checkup. Well, that just doesn't make any sense. But once she gets in there, of course, the hospital holds her hostage, and the hospital staff are acting like she's been admitted to a psychiatric ward, which is, that's ridiculous in and of itself. Then you've got the killer, who I guess his plan was to keep her at the hospital so he could kill her. I don't know why he just didn't. But so he spends all his time changing her medical records, which, the medical records are just laying around on a desk, and one of them, he just writes her name on someone else's medical record like that. And the doctors, of course, buy it. They don't look at any of the detail, the sheets, other than there's like x-rays that would indicate that something's really wrong with Barbie and we need to keep her. It's like, it's ridiculous. It doesn't work that way. And I guess even if I wasn't in healthcare, it's like that just makes no sense that you could just write on the top of someone's medical records, you know, hey, this is Jane Doe. This is not Barry Sims. Uh, the other thing, so she goes to the hospital for the medical record to get the results of this checkup, and she gets there during the day, and her boyfriend drives her, and he's waiting in the car. All of a sudden, it's nighttime. So you're telling me she spent hours basically. I'm gonna even if it was like 4 o'clock. So she's probably spent 2 or 3 hours wandering the hospital looking for this doctor to get her results. She don't go to the nurse's station. She's looking for the doctor's office. Uh, and anytime you go to anywhere, whether it's a clinic or a hospital, I mean, they're going to check you in at the nurse's station, or the nurses are going to check you in first. None of that happens. So she's left wandering the hospital on like the eighth or ninth floor, looking for this doctor that's been killed. Uh, to the point where now it's nighttime, and her boyfriend, you know, sitting out there sleeping in the car for 3 or 4 hours, and then he does finally go into the hospital, find out what the hell's going on. It was just, I don't know. I think the bottom line is I've watched this too much, and the logic starts to break down. This is a film you should just watch it one time and don't watch it again, because it is not going to hold. Anyway, I gave it a 5 out of 10. I thought Barbie's performance was good. She's very hot looking. I mean, she was a Playboy model. The kills, I will say, are brutal and mean spirited. I thought those were well done. But other than that, I think this is a really a mediocre at best slasher film. All right, that's I've talked way too long for 5 movies. So what do we got on tap today? I've done the random list, and I don't know that I'm going to get to all of these, but there. This is the I'm taking the top 5 off the random list every day. The first film is the subset selection, which is Kill List 2017, which is it's been a few years since I watched it. It's a great film. I already know that. Looking forward to revisiting it. The other films that popped up is Schizoid, which is a Klaus Kinski film, and it's on I actually got a 4K double feature of Schizoid and X-Ray, so Schizoid's on there. Some films I've not heard of. You Might Be the Killer 2018. I just picked this one out because I'd never seen it. And then The Devil Lives Here 2015. Alien 2 on Earth 1980, which is a cheesy Italian horror flick, alien ripoff. And then Duel 1971. Which is kind of a classic film. I don't know that it's really horror though. It's I guess it's road horror. But yeah, those are the 5 that I'll be working with today. Hopefully, I'll get through them. That's my goal anyway. So I appreciate you watching, and let me know your thoughts on either films I watched today. And I will be back tomorrow. Thanks.